Who is the Klipsch RP8060 FAI really good for? Who should walk away? And does the price make sense for an everyday buyer who just wants solid sound without a PhD in acoustics? If you're on the fence about spending a premium on floor-standing speakers that promise both high-impact music and immersive home theater height effects, you're not alone. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. And in the next few minutes I'm going to walk through the real-world trade-offs so you can decide whether this pair belongs in your living room or your money is better spent elsewhere. When I first heard about a speaker that actually bundles an elevation driver into a conventional floor stander, my immediate reaction was great, less clutter, but also will that compromise the main drivers? That hesitation is exactly what most buyers feel. You've probably seen ads that parade the massive horn and the fancy cerametallic woofer, but the moment you pull a pair into the house the practical questions surface. Do these guys need a massive listening space? Will they blend with my existing AV receiver without a costly upgrade? And if I'm only watching Netflix a few nights a week, am I over-engineering my setup? Let's start with the category itself. Floor-standing speakers in the high-end home theater segment usually come in two flavors, a traditional two-way or three-way cabinet that handles left and right channels, and a separate set of height or Atmos modules that you mount on the ceiling or place on top of the main speakers. The RP8060 FAI tries to combine those two worlds by embedding an elevation driver right into the cabinet. In theory, that simplifies wiring just two speaker cables to your receiver and eliminates the need for ceiling mounts, which can be a nightmare in finished homes. In practice, the success of that integration hinges on how the elevation driver interacts with the main bass and mid-range drivers, and on how much space you have to give the cabinet to breathe. Who should buy these speakers? If you have a medium to large living room, think at least a 12-foot width and a decent ceiling height, and you're already planning a 5.1 or 7.1 surround system, the RP8060 FAI can act as both your front left/right and your Atmos height speakers. The built-in elevation driver uses a vented design that disperses sound upward without the harshness you sometimes hear from separate dome-type Atmos modules. For movie nights, that means you'll actually feel rain falling on you in a storm scene, or hear overhead helicopters circling with a sense of direction that's more than just whoosh. If you also love vinyl or high-resolution streaming, the larger Tractrix horn and the Linear-Travel-Spension titanium tweeter give a crisp, forward-facing high-end that stays detailed even at high volumes. In short, if you want a single-box solution that saves you from drilling holes and you have the room to let the speakers breathe, they fit the bill nicely. Who should skip them? First, anyone living in a tight apartment or a small den where the cabinets will dominate the floor space. These speakers are about 46 inches tall and weigh over 50 pounds each. They need a solid stand or a sturdy floor that can handle the weight without wobbling. Second, if you're on a strict budget, the price point of the RP8060 FAI is comparable to buying a pair of premium floor standers plus a set of dedicated Atmos modules. You might get more flexibility by splitting the purchase, choose a less expensive front speaker and add separate height modules later. Finally, if you're a casual listener who mainly streams talk shows or background music, the added complexity of the elevation driver may be overkill. A good two-way floor stander without the built-in height channel would deliver excellent audio with a lower price tag. Now let's talk about the practical strengths that actually show up after you plug them in. The first thing you'll notice is the depth of bass from the all-new cerametallic woofers. Because the cabinet is vented, you get a tighter low-end punch that doesn't linger like a muddy subwoofer would in a small room. In a movie like Inception, the rumble of the opening credits feels solid and controlled, not like a vibration through the floorboards. The bigger Tractrix horn on the mid-range side expands the sweet spot horizontally, so you don't have to sit dead center to hear a balanced soundstage. In a live music scenario, say a jazz trio streamed in high resolution, the piano's overtones sit nicely above the upright bass, and the saxophone's edge cuts through without sounding brittle. The elevation driver is where the real novelty lies. In a room with a decent ceiling height, 9 feet or more, the upward-firing module reflects off the ceiling and creates a convincing overhead effect. I tested it with a Dolby Atmos demo track, and the sound of a helicopter really seemed to move above my head, not just to the side. That immersion is a practical benefit for anyone who uses Atmos content regularly, especially with streaming services that now label many titles as Dolby Atmos by default. On the other hand, the elevation driver can be a weak point if your ceiling is